Hi guys and welcome. Today I'm going to be doing a full face of Guerlain and I'm going to be using the eyeshadow quad Honey Amber. This was released a little while ago now, so it's definitely old news in the makeup world, but the other day I used it for the first time and I thought it was just too beautiful not to share. And I also got, when I picked up that eyeshadow quad, I also bought 3 of the new, it's the Pearly Lip Balms, so I'll be using one of those today as well. So all my skincare is done for the morning. I put on some sunscreen again probably about 15 minutes ago, and for the primer today I'm going to use the Guerlain one. This is beautiful and I would definitely repurchase this one. It has this really beautiful, I think it has a lovely cooling effect when you put it on. It just feels very light and it's a gorgeous base before you put on your foundation. So I've let that primer sit for a couple of minutes, and for the foundation today I'm going to use the Guerlain. This is the Gold Skin Matte one. I did a video, they recently released a new one in the Terracotta, that was the Glow foundation, and I did a dedicated video on that, and that is a really lovely foundation, more suited for me in the cooler weather I think than in the middle of summer. And it is autumn here now in New Zealand, but it's still, today it is still quite humid and we are hoping that it's going to rain this afternoon. So I'm just going to put one pump to begin with, just on the back of my hand. This is a beautiful foundation, and the thing is, once things have been released and they've been around a while, not many beauty creators talk about them anymore. I think it's definitely worthwhile showcasing a foundation again that I really love, and I think this is a gorgeous foundation. I'm going to use a beauty blender to put this on today, and not only is it damp, I've also popped it in the freezer for about 5 minutes. It doesn't affect the way that it applies the foundation, but it just gives that extra cooling putting on the foundation, and as I said, it is fairly humid here today. So this foundation is in the shade 3N. Usually my Guerlain foundations are 2.5. I think what happened with this one is when I ordered it from Selfridges, I think they sent me the wrong shade, but I think 3N works fine. I can go between the 3N and the 2.5N as well. But such a beautiful foundation. I love the way that this looks on my skin. I just think it is beautiful. Now it is fragranced. All of Guerlain products are fragranced. I actually don't mind fragrance in my makeup products. I actually really enjoy it. But I know there are quite a few people out there that prefer it if there isn't any type of scent in their makeup. So for the concealer, I do have a Guerlain concealer. It's the Terracotta one, but it's not one that I really reach for. There's nothing bad with it, but it's definitely not one of my favorites. But this is definitely one of my favorites. And this is the Victoria Beckham, the concealer pen. I think this is beautiful. I love the formula of this. I think it's super flattering on my mature eyes. I have wrinkles and crinkles and it doesn't settle in, and it just gives a beautiful coverage. Now it isn't a full coverage concealer by any means, but I think it gives enough coverage and it just keeps everything looking really natural. So off camera I've put on some eyeshadow primer, done my eyebrows, and I've also powdered under my eyes. But for the powder on my face, I'm going to use the new Guerlain one. This is such a beautiful powder, but I will warn you, it is, speaking of fragrance in Guerlain products, and this one is, I think it's very heavily fragranced. Probably the most fragrance product out of the Guerlain makeup that I have. I happen to think that it is absolutely beautiful, but those of you that don't like fragrance or are sensitive to fragrance in their makeup definitely wouldn't like this one. But for those of you that don't mind, I highly recommend this powder. It is microfine and it just gives the most beautiful, beautiful finish. And this powder is so fragranced that with this brush, I do have 2 of them. It's my favorite brush for putting on powder, the Mer Powder Brush. And after a video or when I've used it for my everyday makeup, what I normally do is give it a wipe with some Cinema Secrets, and then after a few days then I give it a proper wash. But even after wiping it with the Cinema Secrets, the next day when I go to use it, I can still smell this powder on the brush. That's how highly fragranced it is. For my bronzer, I'm going to use the terracotta one. I have this in a few shades. This is also one of my favorite bronzers. Has the different shades in there. Now, I think it was quite a long time ago someone might have asked about whether you can do an eye look using these. And you actually can. You can dip your brush into the bronze shade, and then there's usually a bit of pigment there, and there's also something there that has a bit of a shimmer to it as well. So you can do an eye look. For me, if I was going to do an eye look using one of these, I also have this in the shade, I think it's 04 in the Cool One, and that's one of my favorite bronzers out of them. I would probably go for that one more because it just gives a little bit more depth with your eye look. But if you want that monochromatic look and you want an easy eye look as well, then yes, you can definitely use these as eye makeup. So now let's put on this eyeshadow quad. I just kept the packaging for this video, but as I said, I have used this a couple of days ago. So let's just have a look at the details of this eyeshadow quad. There are the 4 eyeshadows in it, and each one contains 1.5 grams of product. This is made in France and has a shelf life of 6 months from date of opening. So it does come with the velvet sleeve and also has the standard gold packaging. There is a mirror inside, and it does come with 2 applicator brushes as well, one with a little brush and then with the sponge tip. So here is Honey Amber. This is beautiful. It's more of a warm color story, but it's just gorgeous. And then just for a quick comparison, here is the Honey Amber, and this one here, this is the Wild Nudes one. So up the top, I've swatched Honey Amber, left to right, top to bottom, and below is Wild Nudes. Now, I do think there is quite a bit of difference in these. But what you could do if you have both of them, or you're thinking about getting the Honey Amber, is you could use both of these quads together. I think you could get some really beautiful looks. But even though that I think you could use both quads together to get some really gorgeous looks, this quad all on its own is really beautiful as well. So I'm going to do the same look that I did a couple of days ago. So I'm going to start off with this shade here. And this is more of a honey shade. It's more warm. It's really beautiful, and this is a satin, and these blend out really, really beautifully. And I think the shade, because when I first saw it, I thought it might be a bit bronzy, but because it's more of that honey type of shade, I think it's really gorgeous. Now this also has quite a bit of pigment as well. So if you like the shade, you could just do it as a one and done, and I think that would look really beautiful. I'm going to stay with that shade. I'm using the Sonia G, the pencil one, and I'm going to put this under my lower lash line. I'll just give my brush a wipe down, and I'm going to go into this deepest shade here. Again, this is satin, and I'm going to put this in the outer corner, and this is deep enough just to give that really beautiful depth. And going back to the pencil one brush, same with that deeper shade. I'm going to put some of this on my lower lash line as well, just on the outer third. Then I'm going to go into this pink shade here. This is the only matte shade in this quad, and I'm just going to put that just over the rest of my lid, just through here, and take it through to the middle, and also put a little bit just up through here as well. And then lastly, I'm going to go into this shade here, and I'm going to put that over the top of that pink matte eyeshadow. And this is a beautiful shade, and it just lifts that pink matte shadow, and I think it looks really beautiful. What I love about these shadows as well is that they don't seem to emphasize the texture. They are just gorgeous. And using that same shade, and one of the applicators that come with the quad is a sponge, and it's got a pointed end, I'm going to put some of this in a corner. Now, these sponge tips that come with these quads, they are really good if you just want to pinpoint some of the shadow. And I think they're really good for highlighting in the inner corner. They're also good if you want to use it just across here as an eyeliner, or just want to give a little bit of extra depth. But I do find that you have a lot of control using these.
Here I am, I have a plan, I'm living free, don't know where I'll land.
So the eyeliner that I use is a Hermes one. I do have some Guerlain ones, but I ran out of the brown one probably a year ago, and it hasn't been back in stock here in New Zealand, or maybe it has and then I missed it. But when I spot it that it is back in stock, I can't remember what the name of it's called, but I'll definitely pick it up because I do really like the Guerlain eyeliners. But this Hermes one is lovely. Now, I did see a video where someone used, I think there's some with a bit of glitter in it. This one isn't, it's a matte one, and they found it a little bit scratchy, but this isn't. It's very smooth going on, and these are really long lasting as well. So here is the finished eye look. And it is, I think it is super, super pretty. It's this beautiful warm and that honey look. It's just gorgeous. Now for blush, I do have, they were released last year, Guerlain released those terracotta blushes, and I do have two of them, and this is one that I use for my everyday makeup, and this one is in 00 Nude. But those of you that have watched my other videos, when Guerlain have a beautiful pink or a shade in there that's a matte in the eyeshadow quad, I use it as a blush, and that's what I'm going to do today. This is going to look absolutely gorgeous. Now the other day when I did use this as a blush as well, I used one of my Eyeshadow brushes, and this is super, super soft, and it does apply beautifully, but had to take a little bit of building up. So today I've just grabbed my Chanel one because it's synthetic, and I think I'll get more payoff just quite a bit quicker. But the shade of this is just beautiful. Now some of you might want more of a wash color on your cheeks, and you'll probably have a blush in your collection, so you can get that, whether it's a Guerlain one or another brand. But if you don't mind just that sheer wash of colour, and for my everyday makeup, this is really enough pigment for my blush, but I think this works really, really beautifully as a blush. And then for highlight, I've got the Terracotta Luminizer. This is beautiful. It gives that subtle highlight, doesn't emphasize texture, and just looks really pretty on the skin. I'm not really into highlighters that give you moonbeams on your cheeks. I know there's a lot of you that do like that, but I just like that really subtle glow, and I appreciate a formula that doesn't emphasize my texture, especially as you get older. There's a lot of you out there that are looking for things where you still want that really pretty glow on your cheeks, but you just don't want all that texture or also your wrinkles emphasized. And I think this is one of those highlighter slash luminizers that do that. They are just beautiful. So now let's take a look at the Pearly lip balms. I picked up 3 shades. I've got Pearly Blossom, Pearly Peach, and also Pearly Rose. I think the one that I'll put on today is the one Pearly Rose, but I will swatch all of them for you. So we've got Pearly Blossom, Pearly Peach, and Pearly Rose. So here they are swatched: Pearly Blossom, Pearly Peach, and Pearly Rose. Actually, what I'll do is I'll try all of them on for you. They're lip balms, so they're quite easy to take off. So first of all, I'm going to put on the one Pearly Blossom. Next is Pearly Peach. And finally we got Pearly Rose. So here is the finished look, and a couple of days when I did this exact same look, I absolutely loved it and I still love it now. This quad I think is beautiful. I wasn't too sure whether I was going to get it or not, but I'm really pleased that I picked this up. Now, you may think that you have others in your Guerlain collection that are similar and you can get similar looks, and you probably can. I just quite like reaching just for one quad and getting just the one look instead of having to reach for others. But in saying that, like I said, the other quad in Wild Nudes, I think these would mix and match really beautifully together. Just beautiful. I love this shade here. It's this gorgeous warm, it's not overly warm, and it's this really beautiful honey color. And I don't think I've really got anything similar in my collection. I've got things that look more bronzy, or I've got eyeshadows that can look a little bit on the mustard side, but this I think is quite unique. This pink is beautiful and also works just really gorgeous as a blush. This gives really beautiful depth, and this shade here is super pretty on its own or over the top of that matte pink shade. It is a really beautiful quad, and of course the blush is pretty. It's that pink eyeshadow and always works really beautifully. And the Pearly Glow lip balms I think are really beautiful. They are gorgeous on their own. They just give this beautiful sheer wash of color. You can always use this as a base for underneath your lipstick as well. The only thing with these is the Pearly Blossom is beautiful, and I think with the Pearly Peach I probably should have put that one on first, because even though I wiped Pearly Blossom off, rubbing my lips just gives them that little bit more pigment comes through on my lips, and I didn't think the Pearly Peach showed so well. It'll be interesting when I edit this video, but when I was looking in the monitor, I didn't think it showed much of a peach at all. It was more towards that Blossom Rose, but I think it's because, as I said, I put on the Blossom Rose first and then wiping my lips, it just makes them that little bit redder. But this one here, the Pearly Rose, is absolutely beautiful, and it's a bit more pale when you use it without, of course, rubbing your lips first, but I think the shade is really pretty. And for some it may be just too sheer, these type of lip balms, but I find that they're really nourishing. And those of you that have watched my other videos know that when it comes to a lipstick, every now and then I will wear one that is really pigmented like a matte or a velvet, but I do like the sheer wash of color, mainly because they're just easy to reapply throughout the day. But overall, really thrilled with the Guerlain products that I picked up. As usual, they didn't disappoint. So that's it for today's video. I would love it if you gave it a like and subscribed, and I will see you next time. Bye.